2022. Happy New Year, everyone. Please silence your cell phones. Roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Richardson.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Moultrie.
Yes.
Mr. Camry.
Hello.
And Mr. Goss. Ms. Goss.
Here. We will have an invocation by Councilman Moultrie and following with the pledge of allegiance.
Lord, we thank you for another year. We ask that you bless this land. Take care of this year. Father, I ask that you continue to help us in this city. Help us to make the right decision. Help us to be together even when we disagree. Lord, I ask you to bless all the families that have lost people from COVID. I ask that you continue to take care of us and heal this land. Help guide us, Father, during these times. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amendments and approval of agenda.
Madam Mayor, we do have, one amendment I'd like to make, is 5B, under awards and presentations. That would be a presentation to our retiring fire chief.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for Tuesday, January 4th, 2022.
We have properly a motion and second. Can you call for the vote?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Richardson.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Moultrie.
Yes.
Mr. Camry. And Ms. Glass. Yes.
We have Mr. Ira Davis.
Thank you. I think I can stand right here. If everybody can hear me. First of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everyone. Merry Christmas, of course, and it's a pleasure to be here. And to the council, to the mayor, to all the facilitators, and to the chamber, and of course to our city manager, officer, and of course to the citizens of Chattahoochee. I'm here to represent on behalf of the city council once again after 19 years of doing this. It doesn't seem that long, but just to give a little history, Mr. Atkins, Brother Atkins, I think some of you know, and he was a councilman at the time, and he came by my house, and he asked me, I think it was Pastor Jackson, who was actually doing this in 2003 prior, coming and being a part of this service of our community. First of all, I want to thank those that came before us, and it's a pleasure to be here among you. And he came by the house and he asked me would I take on that. He wants someone of the community to be a part of the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's anniversary celebration. And at the time, I refused. I asked him why me, of course. And I'm not somebody, I'm comfortable behind the guitar. Everybody knows that I'm more comfortable behind the guitar than I am before people. I feel invisible when I'm playing the guitar. But I'm here to just inform you that on behalf of the city council and of course city manager, we're actually in the process of getting ready for this coming Admirational Day, which will be on the 17th. And of course, you know, annually we usually have the breakfast and that Sunday prior, we usually have a gospel gathering of fellowship. That will not be again. I think 2019 was the last that we did that, I think, and we skipped 20 and 21. But in regards to what we're doing now, we're actually making preparations to actually have the walk beginning at Mr. Moultrie's place of business as we've done before annually. But what I'd like to inform you all of, that everybody's invited, because at this point we're at a short meetings going on for about a month, so here at the chamber. And this Thursday, which we'll be meeting again at 5:30, and next Thursday, on the 13th, if I'm not mistaken, will be our last finalization, and hopefully we'll have more information that will go on the finalization of what's happening out there. We'll have festivities, and of course, we'll have basically talking to young people and have someone to actually speak in terms of giving honor to a man that definitely was a voice for the world unification as well as serving the table of need. And that's basically what we do here. And it's been an honor for me to come before you, not just play music and we'll have everybody wonder what kind of occupation I had. Well, I retired 41 years after being a physical therapist, working with every manner of diseases and every kind of condition of body. So I know how it is when we say that we pray for people and their conditions today of the heart and what's going on. And most of all, I want to acknowledge the fact that we are conscious of the ovarian and those things are, we covered Mr. Moultrie, have volunteered sanitarily, as well as your mask wearing and those things. And we want people to be comfortable by choice. This is not a demand. This is not a movement. This is just an invitation and carrying out what the city council have been actually proposing for more years than I've been here. So I'm just letting you all know that we actually will have something going on beginning at 11 o'clock, starting at the walk at Mr. Moultrie's place of business at Martin Luther King Boulevard. And if there's any questions, feel free to ask.
And the walk starts at Chris's place, where is it in?
I'm sorry, at Southside Recreation Center. I'm sorry I didn't mention that, but that's where we're heading, as we've done annually. I thought, usually we have information, going out in media. Ms. Johnson, unfortunately, is not here to do that, but we will be putting things out on media as well as Facebook and all these other auxiliaries that will give information. And posters, of course, we'll be doing that within the coming week, giving more information out. But we'll be activities on that, just to Wilson's for the Southside community.
And that day is what the walk is, 17th?
Yes, ma'am. The observational day, which is birthday is on Saturday, of course, but the observational day will be on the 17th, that month. There will be no church services or anything of that nature as we have done in the past. Neither will there be any breakfast at the elementary school, which we've done for many years now. But we will be doing the walk. So I'm inviting the whole community. This is not just for certain people. This is for the entire community people. This is not a movement. This is for the whole community, the surrounding area. So we think that it'd be nice to honor him because actually he was a voice for equality worldwide. So that's all I have to share. If anybody doesn't have any questions. Okay.
What would the route be? The route?
Straight down
Morgan?
down to Lincoln Drive.
Oh, Lincoln.
It would take from Martin Luther King place of services and out to Southside Recreation Center. No questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. We'll have consent item B.
Man, we have another presentation tonight. I have it there by you, Chief Crawford, David Crawford, who has been with the city for many, many years as a volunteer fireman and chief for a number of years. And I thought that as directed, the council would like to offer him a big thank you for his service to the city. And he is here tonight. And David, you might want to come up and say a few words, tell a joke.
I'm a joke. I do appreciate the city of Chattahoochee since 1977. So, I ain't much on words. So, thank you.
Come up in. Now, the mayor is kind of not totally 100% mobile, so, no. And she doesn't,
Would you step up there so I get a picture for our website? Thank you.
All right. It says, presented to David Crawford, 2014 to 2021, in grateful appreciation for your dedicated service and commitment as fire chief. to the Chattahoochee Volunteer Fire Department and the City of Chattahoochee.
Thank you for loving Chattahoochee.
You gotta come up and, yeah, I come up tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
if you want, are you seeing all the time? Okay.
And three served,
Yeah.
Hey, sir,
If you had to guess how many calls you went on, what would you say? The number of calls you went for?
more than my hands and my toes, I'm saying.
Thank you for all of y'all.
Yes.
And we hope that you will enjoy your retirement.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
The valued service, especially the volunteer department,
Yeah,
that's a dedication right there, and,
there's the keyword volunteer department. You gonna follow swing?
He started when he was in diapers with his dad.
must have.
17 years old.
No, you don't have a joke or anything.
Nah,
Okay.
no, just a lot of gas went down the road. Before beepers and pagers and radios, you go to a call on the interstate, and you'd be riding from the river to Greensburg, Quincy, and the truck would be back at the station.
I know this is not a good time to bring it up, but now that you're retired, we bought a new fire truck and we're paying our firemen. Yeah, new radio.
But the thing is, I said I would be a volunteer, so the volunteers are the ones getting paid. Right.
And David is still gonna participate, he's taking some calls, so that is continued.
I don't know, cause, I was told the other day, I thought you was retired. I said, well, I told I was gonna be, there's two of them, and they were saying, you know, and then they wanted me to get, some other stuff done. I'm like, well, darn, you're just kicking me to the wayside, I guess.
No.
Just cause I'm old.
That's what it is.
How
Semi-retired.
about the, tell us about the fire chief?
Well, it's not time.
Well, I knew it was already bought, or whatever.
Thank you, chief.
That consent. Approve minutes of regular council meeting December 17, 2021. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on Tuesday, December 7th, 2021.
Second. It's been properly motion second. You can call for the vote.
Thank you. Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Moultrie,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
and Ms. Glass.
Yes.
Thank you.
Items 4 for discussion.
So we're none?
Citizens requesting to be heard, we have Ms. Cindy Glass. Ready? You may come forward.
Okay, I came to talk about the Christmas parade. Wow, what a parade. From the city manager to the council to everyone who jumped in and helped the city workers, outstanding job, just amazing. Everything went with just a little bit of, how do you say, we had a few, but the city workers jumped in, they, even on their own time, went and picked up things and did things. Katie, City Hall, outstanding, just emails at night, talking to people. All the people that were in the parade just came with they were just wonderful. They answered the call to come, they came, they spent their own monies, they enjoyed themselves. I'm still getting calls, emails about how people thoroughly enjoyed being here and how well the citizens of Chattahoochee and from the city manager on down treated them with just the utmost of being thankful that they were here. And I can't say enough about the city workers. I mean, they jumped in and they just went above and beyond anything that you could even imagine. So I know that in the last few days, we've had, issues with, things about things not being done with the city and stuff, but during the month of December, every time I turned around, I saw a city worker up a pole, down the sidewalk. I saw some sweeping off sidewalks, so that wasn't their jobs to do, so I appreciate everything that Robert, he just kind of opened the door to all the people that came and welcomed them, and even with the council, I appreciate everything that everybody did, and I think all the citizens enjoyed themselves. I think it just turned out tremendously well. On another note, I'd like to ask the council to maybe devise a letter, either through the city manager or something that we could send all the participants about their participation, as well as inviting them to come back next year, because we'd like for it to be even larger and better next year. So, and to keep us in mind, and I know Robert and I had talked, and maybe not me, I'm getting a little older and I like spending more time with my grandchildren, but maybe someone, we could go ahead and plan a date for next year. And the reason I say that is because this year, in talking to the schools, especially with the pandemic and stuff, they have limited them to 2 to 3 things that they can participate in a year. And when they know those participation dates, they come early into the time of the year. And if you're not on that schedule, the chances are they may not get to come. And we had one band that showed up, right on time. I mean, and we didn't even know they were coming because they got a last minute, okay to be here. And I don't think we ought to be that way. I think we need to go ahead and extend that. We could, if something came down the pass that we couldn't do it, we could always cancel it. But I really think that, the council needs to get together and plan that date and put it in writing and let's get those commitments from people that we could do larger things with, because we would actually be on their calendar for the year. And it wouldn't be one of those things they could plan to be here for the parade. So,
What was that date we talked about? Just go ahead and tell them to make sure they're there.
the first weekend in December, what was that, the 3rd? I think that.
Well, because everybody else's is already preset, and
Right, and you want to get those dates in before the kids get out of school, before the college kids start going home. I know that seems early, but those early dates are great. Right, I think that we should do that, because we had a few people that would have came had we have been on their calendar, and their people only meet certain times of the year. Some of them only meet quarterly to decide what they're going to do, and they don't allow them to do things at last minute. Used to, you could call somebody and say, hey, we got something coming up next month, can you come? And they're like, oh, sure, we'll be there. But now the dollars are so tight, and you've got so many things you have to put in place because of the pandemic. You have to get those dates secured. And I really think that it would be a great idea, because I think that's something that Chattahoochee needs.
And I think the next week's like Sneed, so maybe they can already have their floats and I'll be open.
Right.
And that way the people that's in Chattahoochee could be in theirs, and
Right.
everything's built.
And there were people in Sneads that had planned floats and things, and then their parade got canceled, and it kind of just,
Yeah, because Sneed's Greenwich, I think, noticed on a Friday, and Sneed's on a Saturday,
Right.
so that would work out good.
And there was some talk of cooperation, which, we were gonna have entries in theirs, but of course they canceled in rainy weather.
Right.
But, no, and Madam Mayor, if I may, I wanna say, I'm glad you're here tonight. I didn't even cover tonight, but I wanted to do something, follow up on that letter. But I just wanna say that, and most of y'all were at that parade, you saw what I saw, and,
That's all joy and change.
yes. And
Right, and
that
it was
amazing.
great. I mean, it really was.
And you always hear about, the parades they used to have and all that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I know what they're talking about now, because many people who lived here all their life told me that might have been the biggest one. But it wouldn't have happened, okay, without, the hard work of this last year. She could.
Well, I
she could
had a lot of
sew
help.
on everybody else.
I had a lot of help.
And I'm sure you
This
did.
thing right here was a tremendous help, Katie. I mean,
But organizing
A lot of
that,
help.
okay, she did a tremendous job of that, and I have to recognize, I'd be remiss if I didn't, she worked hard on that. And she's not old enough yet, she could do it again next year.
Well, we need a larger space, I can tell you that, we're gonna have to, you know, we've been so accustomed to that Marion Street, and we've got to have a larger space, because it took everything we can do, and some really good engineering skills of putting those, you know, the children off the streets, and the expensive vehicles off the streets, and we need more space, and I don't know how, you know, our
Let's
chief
close one
might
street.
have some suggestions
We'll
as,
close one street.
well, I think will, okay.
No doubt, Mary.
But we do have the opportunity to get more next year.
Yeah.
Because some of the ones that did not get to come, they saw the parade on TV, and I didn't even get to see the parade on TV, but they saw it, and they're like, we wish we would have came, so we need to get that, you know?
And we, like, they need to know it's gonna be expanded, cause like a bunch of them stopped right there at the IGA, well,
Right.
Family Dollar,
Right,
and they didn't realize it was going down, so there was a big cluster of people right there, whereas it could have been spread out a little
Right.
farther, so that.
well, they were actually told the route beforehand, but then there were people that got sick with COVID, and they had to send replacements, and so we had a few hiccups, you know, but we just,
Yeah, cause I mean, that way people could spread out a little more, you know, the longer the,
right.
I did feel sorry for the people walking.
Not being able to use Florida State Hospital this year kind of made it a little harder, I think.
Yeah, and one of the
Well, they
hiccups was the
kind of
gate,
dropped the ball,
the
they
gate
dropped
that
the ball a
was
little
supposed to be
bit.
open,
Yeah.
but it all worked out.
But all of that, Ms. Gladys, great job.
Well,
To
like I
you
said, it took
and
a lot
all
of
the
people helping,
that
so.
worked with you, cause I was in Orlando and it was filmed in to me by phone. There were a lot of people, you said it was on television here, but there were a lot of people in Orlando that had the opportunity to watch with me by phone. They were very impressed by knowing how small Chattahoochee is, with all of that going on with no hiccups, no problem. We could not see the hiccups. We could not see the problem. We saw the hard work of the parade that was put together so well. Great job.
Well,
Thank
like I
you.
said, there was a
Not
lot of people
only
who
do I want
helped,
to tell
so.
you, thank you for the parade, but the things that you did to help with the South Side of Santa Claus.
That was a wonderful event as well.
Yes.
Trina
it
did
was.
a fantastic job. It was a
Absolutely.
wonderful event.
Thank
So,
you, thank you, thank you, and I pray that your health stays well, that by the end of the year of 2022,
It's
Even
fading
greater.
fast. So,
even greater, because people are still talking about little Chattahoochee.
Well, Little Chattahoochee can have an even larger parade next year. We just got to band together, and we got to get those early things in quickly, so that we can, you know, kind of progress, and, you know, the council can be working on that as well, and have some ideas and options of people that, you know, you might know that you could ask, and it's, you know, we could work on that, and then really expand that out, you know, spend the next year doing that, so.
Well, I think December 3rd would be that's fine with me, because it was the same weekend this year, and there was nothing interfering with it. So,
Okay.
and that way you can go ahead and get the letters out, like, to ask them back next year, and like you said, because it is hard for people to get.
Right, and they have their little budgets, and like I said, they can only
Can't
do
get
two,
buses,
and
so-
I didn't know that, you know, before, we could just call them up and they'd say, oh, okay, we're gonna, you know, band the children together. I was impressed that we had Georgia call us, the school from Georgia, we wanna be in the parade, you know, we were just sending out emails to everyone, and they're like, we wanna go, and they led the parade, you know, they actually came and brought their flag corps and led the parade, and that was a school.
Well, it's
all
been a
back.
point of discussion with some other local governments. I'm sure some of y'all know about councils and commissions after the fact talking about it. You know what, little Chattahoochee. I think it was good.
Even our representative, Alexander, was talking about what was going on in Chattahoochee. You know about it. Several of them in the Capitol was talking about what was going on.
Well, we want to bring all those people back and more, so we need to concentrate on that and try to, you know, get that already in black and white on these calendars, and then we won't have to do all that last minute, grabbing. Right, Robert?
Right.
All right, thank you.
Everybody loved the pool.
Hey, the bull was great, wasn't it?
Yes,
Would you
yes.
mind if I add one thing to this?
Be up to the mayor.
Is it all right, if I just add one thing to finish off what she said? She keeps talking about the size, everybody talks about the size of the parade. But so that you know, when I use Quill, whenever we laid this out, we used our 3 side roads, all around everything, and got the total distance. And as Sammy can tell you, we had very little space between, sometimes no space between the exhibits, sitting there. Staging area, and I went all over town to try to find a match. Staging area only was the same distance from Hardee's to Focus Credit Union. If we put everybody and parked them in a row, that's how much it took to stage everybody. So now you understand what kind of limitations we're looking at if this grows. I mean, I can fit it into the roads, but just to let you know, that's how much area we use to stage this parade.
Probably have to just go across on the other side of Marion Street.
Well, then you guys deal with DOT.
We'll fix it.
We fix it.
We're gonna fix
It's
it.
Did y'all
doable.
use the
Okay.
side streets like that? Did y'all do them like that? Cause I remember when I was a little girl, we used to have to use the little side
Yeah.
streets.
And we still use alleys and stuff, but now I stopped, and that we wouldn't block the fire station or the police station. We didn't block any houses, and, we still have some room to grow into, all right? But I just want you to know, that's how far the staging area was for this parade.
Good parade.
Yes, yes. Very good.
And we're on, public hearings.
Madam Mayor and members of the council, we have 2 tonight. Get a little set up, and then we'll turn them over to the city attorney. But both of these are related to your current alcohol ordinance. It's kind of 2 different issues, so that's why it's broken into 2. You can take input on either one of them. And there will be, these require 2 readings, so tonight is, you don't make a final decision or anything. This is to present it to you, get your feedback on it, and we'll staff to move forward with your direction on that. And the first one deals with hours. You have dealt with an hour issue previously, tweaking for repackaged type sales. This one deals only with sit-down restaurants that are licensed by DDPR, that have the license that includes the beer and wine with food. They would obviously have to be licensed there for the to matter. You currently have 2 in town. I think you're fixing to have a 3rd one in town. But these are dining, sit-down dining establishments is the only thing this would affect, and what it relates to is the hours. Your current ordinance allows it on Sunday only. It only affects 1 day of the week. Currently, they can't sell until 6 p.m. And we think that if we expand it to lunchtime to 6 p.m., it would be more beneficial to the establishments. So this ordinance, and then I'll turn it over to the city attorney, basically on Sunday sales at sit-down restaurants expands the hours that they can serve from 12 to 6 p.m.
Ordinance number 565 by title is an ordinance of the city of Chattahoochee, Florida, expanding the hours for sale of alcoholic beverages for restaurants on premises, providing for authority, providing for conflicts and severability, and providing for an effective date. The ordinance is before you for consideration on first reading. Thank you. This is not a noticed public hearing. That will come at your second reading.
Okay, but can I ask you a question right here? I was reading here where it says, from 12 p.m. Most services are out by what time on Sunday?
It was, maybe I didn't hear it all, but it expands it, currently it's from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. the next morning. This will, you can start serving at 12 to 6 on Sunday afternoon.
So right now, it was at 6 p.m. you could start
In the
serving.
evening, and I understand that there was a change in the nineties, Ken, I guess, was here, but something, dealing with something back then, but, they developed those hours for whatever reason. No one can remember exactly why, but I did check, the ordinance was changed to allow it at 6. You know, used to, there was no Sunday, and on Sundays they were allowing it at 6, to midnight or whatever, 2 a.m.
Now you're moving it up to 12.
Yeah, with the current, you know, what we're trying to do downtown, the businesses and things, and a lot of the licenses issued now for food establishments for DVPR are the ones that are, alcohol and food, you know, they can sell beer, wine, things like that, and from a business standpoint, what they tell me is, it's kind of something you have to do, like Applebee's does it, or any chain restaurants. Some of the reasons given were, football games, or, you know, serving brunch or something, so an afternoon football games, you know, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, once the games start, prior to 6 p.m. There is people asking for it from the campgrounds and other places, from other parts of the country, and just think it would be going along with what we always do, try to assist our businesses to be successful, and attract new businesses. We try not to have things here that impair from a business standpoint for the city.
Well, I feel pretty much kind of, when you say Applebee's or Red Lobster or something like that, there's not really any restrictions on them for the most part. And when you go there, you don't think about people just in there drinking alcohol. I think it's a normal thing. I was against it a lot before, I will say that. But looking at it, I go to Red Lobster, I go to Longhorn, I don't see any restrictions on me. So I don't necessarily want to restrict the business here now. I did hear a council lady ask about what time people get out of church, and she was saying about 12. Might would have been a little bit more comfortable with 1 o'clock maybe, rather, maybe pushing it up, give people time to get out of church.
And the reason I was asking that question is, if at one time, wasn't it a church right here in town, or is it still here?
Well, that's on Main Street, it's not still here.
The closest one is, well, the new one down by the dollar store, and then of course the Methodist church. There used to be one on the main there, but there used to be 2.
That's what I was
Used
thinking.
to be 2, but they no longer hold service.
Okay, no problem.
I just think right at lunchtime, I know, I go to all these restaurants, they all serve alcohol. The small community,
But at the
you're
same
gonna
time,
hurt your church, you're gonna hurt your business too, cause the church people gonna go to eat, and they don't get out at 12.
but at the same time, you gotta look at the businesses, you don't have to purchase alcohol if you don't want it.
Well, I
I
agree.
mean, I get out of church and go to Applebee's or whatever, and they still sell it. So what I'm saying is, we don't wanna hurt our businesses, and right now, we got them limited as to money they can make, and we wanna attract new businesses in the town. If they see this ordinance, who wants to come? You think, if people had read,
They didn't have none.
if people had read this ordinance before, they might not have opened their business here, because 12 o'clock is not bad versus none at all. I mean, come on, we gotta attract businesses here.
And most people that go to church, they go eat at 6 o'clock too. So it ain't like if they worry about alcohol. They going up in there eating at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock. People go to eat.
You have games starting at 12 o'clock any day time, like, it's football season, basketball season, you got games starting early, so I just don't want to limit our businesses and keep our businesses from coming to Chattanooga, because we want Chattanooga to grow.
We are, just so you know, I mean, this really only affects 2 businesses right now, but we are, there's a possibility of a 3rd restaurant coming that this would affect, and probably be important to.
And I don't think any of the businesses is gonna risk problems in their restaurants with drinking and have issues over alcohol at that time of the day. I just don't believe it.
Councilman Thomas.
If the ordinance passes tonight and you want to amend it before the next public hearing. You may. That is permissible. At the next hearing, you can do that, yes. That will be the public hearing. Okay. I'd like to move that we accept ordinance 565, please, as presented at this time.
Second.
Do we need to open it for public comments in that?
Well, that motion was to adopt the ordinance on first reading. Thank you.
So we'll need to open it for public comments.
No, the public hearing will be up next.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Moultrie,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes, ma'am.
and Ms. Glass.
No. Okay.
All right, our second public hearing tonight, again, I'll give a little setup, turn it over to the attorney, related to the same ordinance. And this one is pertaining to the distance. Current ordinance requires a distance of 500 feet. Some other municipalities, mainly Quincy, has had the same issue with their downtown square trying to redevelop. Of course, in Chattahoochee here, we're just limited in the availability of space. It has not prevented recruiting of a new business yet. It's been very close a few instances and could be in the future, but staff, we looked at numbers every day, but I mean, you know, we don't want to be up here promoting no churches in a commercial area. You know, that just sounds anti what I'm about personally. And but again, this is for your consideration. It's to solve a certain problem, and there's a number of ways to do it. One was the churches, which is your limiting factor, you bar them. That doesn't sound like the way to go. And doing away with a distance, I think that's too much, because then you could have an establishment right beside, go open up right beside an existing church that's been there for 100 years, so that's not right. So what we tried to do is recommend to you, this is your decision, or you can leave it as it is to just minimize the distance, because our town is so little and tight that someone wanting to open a business here, that does it. Just like, and we're not talking about bars and restaurants, okay? This, as you all know, came an issue with the Family Dollar Store. It was almost a very serious issue in that whole project, and there has been a couple of ones that could have been unable to open, but the previous church had to shut down, so we didn't have to deal with it. I think you're going to have to deal with it. We've had some close calls. There's a couple of examples I could give you, but what we are recommending to try to mitigate this problem is just kind of finding the median. You know, we're not really dealing with churches, and we're not just abolishing the distance requirement. We're keeping some protection for folks, but while also making our city available for people to open establishments and do business. And 200 feet was the recommended. You can make it whatever you want. We'll require a second public hearing. So not trying to put you under pressure, but trying to start the process to get this discussion, so that folks know that Chattahoochee is continuing to do what we need to do to be the place to do business.
Ready for me to read? Ordinance number 566 by title is an ordinance in the city of Chattahoochee, Florida, reducing the distance between businesses selling alcohol and churches from 500 feet to 200 feet, providing for authority, providing for conflicts and severability, and providing for an effective date. The ordinance is before you for consideration on first reading. The public hearing, if you do adopt this ordinance tonight, would be held at that second reading. Thank you.
I'll be glad to answer any questions council has.
You and I were talking about this, and there was if a building where they were holding church is no longer holding church there, and this ordinance passes, and then they decide to come back in, if they were included in the first one, would they be grandfathered in because they were not holding service, or does it?
No,
Should be asking Mr. Miller this.
well, you could, but, what we would look at, because we had this issue come up, there used to be a church down there in the old, Gulf Station. Had that church still been in business, you would not have a steamboats or bleachers. They would have prevented both of those businesses from opening. It's vacant, if they come back in the future, and you're right, it's probably, I know how I would do it, I would, if they come in after the fact, those establishments set precedent, they're kind of grandfathered in, isn't that correct, Jerry?
Yes, as to the established ones, they would. So even if a building is, that once was a church that is no longer holding services there, if they decide they wanted to start holding services again, they couldn't do it because, we would not encourage that because they were within this distance that would be restricted. A new church could come in and reestablish a location closer, but that would be the church establishing that location. And, it shouldn't affect the grandfathered use.
It would have to be the same church, they say.
Well, you might not have a 200-foot separation, but that's on the church. It's not on the establishments because they're already there.
That was what I was
The
asking.
church would make that decision if they want to be 50 foot from the establishment. They can have the church and have services, but it would not affect the businesses.
When you got, City of Chattahoochee is very unique with its commercial zone. So, like,
Yeah, I'm in an area of more dynamic changes in businesses and growth than we are here. We've got churches opening in old grocery store buildings and old theaters right in the heart of the entertainment areas. So a lot of jurisdictions have just eliminated such standards as this. Because of the use mixture that we had in it.
and I know on, Lincoln Drive, we got an old store. If we decided to do something with it, you would have this problem. Because it would have been grandfathered, but now it's not grandfathered. And you got a church there that probably don't hold service that much, but it would affect. So you don't, that distance from that building to the church is not something where I would see, affecting that church, but it would affect this business. So I think we do need to try to look at trying to do something about it in the process.
I'm glad you brought that up because it is right across the street and that will affect his business and his sales.
Yeah.
My position is I don't want to keep any business from making their full potential if we can do that and find a happy medium. So I think the 200 feet is, for me, a happy medium.
Everybody else think 200 feet's all right, or do you want to increase it or decrease it some?
Okay. It's gotta be 1,000 feet from a school. I mean, and so, well, I think 200 feet is just too close. That's my personal opinion.
I'm fine with 200 feet.
I mean, that's from here to the bank.
No.
And you start serving at 12 and people ain't even out of church yet.
Hey, one thing you got for when you think about alcohol, if you got a convenience store, even if they're going in and buying, they can't go outside and start drinking. So you got laws to stop people from drinking outside in the public right next to a church. They think you drinking it where they bought the drink from. So it's not like, you know, if we get an issue like that, that's a problem that the officers can deal with. You know, they don't supposed to be drinking on the premises, even at the store where they buy it. So it's not like, you know, we're saying let's open up clubs and everybody being outside drinking right next to the church and party. You basically open container like you say, stop that. So it's not, you know, I know we saying alcohol, and anytime you say alcohol, it sounds a certain way, but you just think about convenience store.
Think of the Dollar General and the church buy it. You couldn't.
You know, they ain't walking out of Family Dollar drink.
And the new building that John owns at the old motel, situations like that, with the church that's there, he can't meet the 500 if he wants to open a grocery store. It's those types of deals. It's not trying to open bars or things. So it's a lot of retail. But that's a perfect example is that Dollar General with the church, their buildings almost butt together is really about the best example I can think of. And I don't want to get a situation like we did at the church that used to be down there by the wholesale place. As I mentioned before, there's a couple of places you wouldn't have if that church was still going. And we're not the only ones that have had to address this. Quincy, they banned churches downtown and reduced the distance because they were trying to revitalize and we kept running into the same problem. But again, you could leave it as it is, you could make it 100, you could make it 300. That was just trying to get something that I thought was fair to present to you as a starting point that was somewhere in the middle. We can either totally your decision or we can leave it just trying to avoid any future problems. Through attracting businesses.
We have. You've been trying.
Need a motion.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say, Council?
Well, we've been charged with the comments that we have to point away. Whether you don't like 200, you can't if you want to be 500.
Either or, because of the demographics that we have, it's not gonna change a whole lot.
It's not.
So therefore, I offer a motion that ordinance number 566 be accepted.
So, supposed to speak on that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the motion.
Next month. It has to come back next month. It's just a start.
Was that a motion to adopt the ordinance on first reading? Thank you.
Yes. And it was seconded by whom? Mr. Moultrie. Madam Clerk?
Mayor, since I believe we were having a public hearing, I think he's requesting to speak on it. Not sure.
They can permit it, but it's optional. The public hearing will be at the second reading.
You might speak.
Come on, Mr. McMillan, you can speak, I don't hear you.
My name's Ronnie McMillan, 561 Lincoln Drive.
I'm sorry, sir, what was it again?
Ronnie McMillan,
Can you address, please?
561 Lincoln Drive.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. One, what is the definition of 200 feet? We're talking about from door to door,
It's in the ordinance.
parking lot to parking lot?
Door to door.
But
Yeah,
just-
currently,
Okay, or property line to property line?
it's just the door, entranceway, I think.
Front door to front door.
And see, there's a problem. You guys, you know, you throw this at the citizens, but we have very little knowledge of what you're talking about. That's a problem. Okay? I shouldn't have to read that tonight when you guys make the motions.
Yes,
The public hearing is at the second reading.
Okay? And the other thing, the Dollar General was established before that church
move that.
Right, I was just merely using it as an example about proximity feature, you know, that you could have that and it worked, but you couldn't have that in the future if the church is at first.
Correct.
Just the building they're renovating at the old motel.
Okay. Other words, you guys are making motions again. You're making motions, but yet the citizens don't know what's going on. And then you want the citizens to come in at the second meeting, make it, give us information, and we're supposed to just absorb it that night, while you guys already got prior information. That put the citizens at a disadvantage. You're representing the citizens of Chattahoochee, not you guys. So we need to try to make sure we start doing things the right way. Okay? You guys was put in those seats for a reason, to represent Chattahoochee. You need to find out what your citizens in your districts want.
You can have that.
Okay? That's what we need to do. We need to go back to the basics and do what you was put there to do.
It might be helpful if I give you a report about what the standard practice for adoption of ordinance is in the state of Florida. This is a statutory scheme and it is uniform for the whole state. On first reading, for most ordinances such as these, it is purely an action by the council to sponsor some legislation, to then give notice to the public, which will be published by the clerk and posted, creating a time and place, which I presume will be our next regular scheduled meeting, for the public to speak to you regarding the ordinance content. Now, that is the process, good or bad, for the whole state of Florida. And it is the process that we minimally have to accomplish in the adoption process. But your process tonight is not any different for Chattahoochee than it is for any other of the hundreds of municipalities in Florida. Thank you very much.
LB Howell, 521 Morgan Avenue. Gary, I think you just answered a question. Having been on the council, I was aware of what you were fixing to say, that this is preliminary, just like the other thousands of municipalities in the state. And in regards to his statement about this council, you're doing a damn good job, and thank you. If the public wants to know something that's going on in the city, you got that city clerk sitting right there. She has a telephone. You have that city manager sitting right there. He's got 3 telephones. All you got to do is call. Each one of these council members have telephones. Some answer them, some don't. But it's published on the city website. All of your phone numbers are on the website. There's not one up there that I can't call and get an answer. They may not answer it right then, but they call me back. Especially those 2 right there. And that one. And that one. I've never had to call hanging, so I don't know if she'd call me back or not. But the rest of them I've called, I've got an answer within an hour or so or a day or so. And I feel that the mayor would do the same thing. So I kind of resented that comment about y'all doing your job. You're doing a damn good job. Thank you.
Nobody said it wasn't doing a good job.
Yeah, I think I got him, so.
Yes, ma'am. Are we calling for the vote, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Mayor Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Moultrie?
Yes.
Mr. Kimry?
Yes.
Ms. Glass?
No.
on general business.
Yes, ma'am, we have two items under general business tonight. The first one is the approval of an interlocal fire and rescue agreement with Gadsden County. This agenda item seeks the approval of the fire services interlocal agreement between the city and the county. I won't go through all the background, but this agreement does include a $16,468.75 annual increase in funding from the previous agreements we've had with the county. And the fiscal impact will be $48,500 annually. Approval of this agreement with the county.
And this will be for how long? Just this year?
Yeah, you know, they're still trying to, as they've been saying for several years, looking at an overall countywide fire service. But I expect this to continue for several years.
Just for information, it's paid quarterly, is that right, Robert? It's not paid, it's not paid all at one time.
Correct.
Well, see, cause it says this agreement includes $16,468.75 annually.
Yeah, well, that one will go on. They agreed to that. The other part would be increased if they go to a countywide service and say, house the truck here with a paid fireman. But I don't see that happening. I wish they could come up with an overall, but it would be so expensive.
But in our meeting that we had, they said that they wouldn't be able to do that, do you remember?
Right, I don't expect them to be able to do it. No, one part of this agreement, they say continues on, and one part's just for 1 year, and it's due to the fact that they're still trying to develop an overall plan for the entire county.
Right.
I just don't see the way they'd be able to do it, so I think this agreement will be for a minimum of 5 years.
So this is kinda like to pacify us, cause they didn't give us the whole $150,000.
Amen.
Correct.
Amen.
They're paying on installments.
Exactly.
Because we the redheaded stepchildren out here on this one.
Always have been.
Always will be.
But if you look at it another way, if they give you to pay this much, you pay for it.
And they gonna have to pay us with what we got, you know, we the closest and to that interstate. So there's no way they can go without having Chattahoochee going.
Well, I agree with that. I don't like being lied to either time.
It was a tough one, but it all worked out.
Yeah, it was a fight just to get back, because they didn't really wanna do anything. And it would have been hardship on those that live right here in Chattahoochee, but outside of the city limits. They wouldn't have had any service by the time they got there, the house or whatever would have burned down. So we had to go to the table and, this is what we were in. I feel like that's better than nothing at all, because they did not want to, give us what they had promised us in the beginning. Am I correct?
You're absolutely correct. There's been a lot of change in personnel and elected officials, and, you know, they did not want to honor the original agreement.
Right.
So this was what was worked out. And I've updated you on it before. It just took us several months to get the actual agreement from them. So here it is, and, yeah, I think it's a good agreement, especially if you look at it from a 5-year or 10-year standpoint. And before 5 years is up, it'll be more than this amount.
I would make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement between with the fire and rescue with this.
Second.
Has been properly motion and second.
I've submitted a memorandum, on these two contracts. I find them both problematic. You recall that over time, we've had the county agree that neither party, neither you nor the, county would waive sovereign immunity, that you would preserve sovereign immunity. These two contracts, for no explained reason, they've gone back to their old formatting and not honored that change. Now, the consequences of that are that these contracts are cram down contracts, that the county, from their stronger position, imposes upon you local governments that they deal with. The consequence of that is that the provisions require you to indemnify and hold harmless the county from all liability. Well, and especially the fire and ambulance operation, the opportunity and the exposure to liability is heightened because of the nature of those services. In this, the county has preserved for itself the protections of sovereign immunity, but it is silent as to the city. And so it's my opinion that the city, by entering into these two contracts, waives the defense of sovereign immunity. And you can't do that. And you do it by not preserving, when you guarantee coverage without the limitations of sovereign immunity. Nextly, and why this is more problematic now than it was when I first began working with you, is that under your prior insurance coverages, you had the ability to add another party as an additional insured. Under the League of Cities policies that we have now, that's not permitted. We can't add another party as an insured. So I understand the governmental dilemma between the two governmental bodies and their stronger position, but have to advise you that I cannot recommend approval of these two agreements because of those deficiencies. And minimally, I would have you require an amendment to each of the contracts. And the manager has shared with me that this is not practical. But minimally, I'd have you add a provision that preserves sovereign immunity defenses and limitations of liability for the city also. And also recommend to you that you go and get additional casualty insurance to cover these risks, so that you have a policy that you can join the county as an additional insured. So, harsh reality that I'm compelled to report to you. Thank you very much.
Given that is the case, I got questions I want to ask before we.
Could you speak up, please?
Given that, I need some questions answered before we vote on this. Do you think that if we made an amendment to this contract and sent it back, that it would not pass?
I don't know. I have to defer to the manager.
They changed one, he's brought this issue up several times in the 3 years that I've been here. One time, I was able to get their attorney, and I think it was a fire contract, I can't remember, but it was one of the contracts, and it took a while, and they changed it. Well, it was brought up again on a different contract, and they're like, look, this is the same contract, all 6 municipalities get, no one's got a problem with it, with y'all, if you want the money, it is what it is. And then I think we spoke, I think you actually spoke with him, the county's attorney, when they got the newer one that they have now.
I haven't spoken to the most recent one.
Yeah, but, and then, I spoke with 2 of the other city's attorneys, myself, and, on this fire one, I mean, if you wanna take a chance on the senior citizen one, on the fire one, with the history of it there, I personally wouldn't take the chance. If you want that agreement, I would take it, if they don't deny it. I would want to send it back with some, verbiage changes about liability and all, because, and I'm no attorney, I've said that many times, but we take a fire call, and we're insured. Our equipment's insured, our firemen are insured, all that. I'm not sure about all this sovereign liability or whatever, about where the money comes from, or who. If we get a fire call, we're taking it, just as we would if we didn't get this funding. So, I can answer your question. It's big to him. He is on every contract. You approved many, that we have not done it. He and I talk about it every time one comes up. It's, Robert, you know, it's still got this in there.
So what are you, dumb it down for me, because I'm new and I understand, what does it not cover? If I they go to a house in Greensboro, are they covered under our insurance? Is our fire department, our city covered?
Yes.
Yes, but if you get the scenario
Give me a scenario of this.
where the county has some liability, under this agreement, they've got the ability to try to shift that to you. And that would not be an insured risk.
So you saying if an incident happened on a fire call and it's on the county, you saying that they can drag us into it? Is that what you're
That's
saying?
right, that's right. Yeah, cause there are gonna be events here where you got county participation and
We
these
are.
other departments, you know, it's, we're not just a standalone on some of these responses.
But the
Some
county has no
responses-
fire department. If we with other municipalities, if we do a joint thing or a volunteer.
So they've shifted, any liability they have, they've shifted to you, and that's the risk, and you just have to understand it, and that's a business decision for you. You know, I have my duty to you, which is tech.
That's right.
And the technical reality is, you need to go out and get insurance to protect this risk, is my best guidance. If
So
you
you're
want to-
saying that the insurance that we have now will not take care of?
Doesn't take care of that problem.
Okay.
What
It
kind
doesn't
of,
take care of that problem because we cannot, with the league policy, add additional insurance. With your prior insurance coverage you had, you could do that. And so it was much less consequential to you a couple of years ago.
what are you saying if somebody go out, let's say we got an incident and somebody go out and, somebody injured, and let's say one of their people from their fire department try to save, and it don't happen, give me a scenario.
Let's turn it around.
Okay.
They know there's a liability risk. Okay? And that's why they want to shift that to you. Okay? They know there's an opportunity that a party could successfully sue them along with us. Or perhaps sue them and not even sue us. You see? They know that's a risk, and that's why they want this one-sided language. So, trying to distinguish a way where there's not gonna be the risk from the suit and your expense to defend and your liability to pay the damages. You know, we can beat that drum, but they know there's that risk, and that's why they're asserting this.
We don't have an umbrella insurance that can just cover that.
Not now.
No, you've got a policy with the League of Cities, as I've said, does not permit you to add additional insurance.
It covers anything that we do with our people, our trucks, our equipment, you're insured. What the county's trying to do, they look at the argument a little different than him. Their attorney is like, well, I don't want a Chattahoochee truck to run over somebody and there'd be a lawsuit and they bring the county in.
Well,
He's looking at it like the county's getting sued and trying to bring us in. But the county's attorney is of the position, if we do something, have an accident or we're negligent in some way, and we're insured for it, but they don't want to get brought into it, the county doesn't. So the liability for anything we're doing jointly is on us.
And when they're sued, we've got the obligation of defense and also to pay any damages that are awarded against them.
With that,
So that's it.
if we don't have insurance. we
And
have to be on
that is uninsured both as to the attorney fees for the defense of the county, is uninsured as to the expense of defense of the county and to pay damages of the county.
But when would that, it would have to be some
What type
incident
of
with the city.
situation that would be?
They can't bring us, expect us to defend them for something they did, a banner, or, I mean, I'm missing the part.
We can have the responsibility to defend the county in a lawsuit that is not soundly founded.
Even if we were not involved in the action?
Yeah, I mean, yes,
Well, that could be for anything.
you know, if it's related to our function and we get sued and they get sued, or they get sued relating to one of our functions, that's where your exposure is. And that's a business decision for you. You can say I minimize that in my analysis, and we're gonna ride the wild mare.
Do you have a scenario, do you have, a situation where that has happened that you can show?
No, because all of my experience has had protection for the municipalities in it. And we've stared down counties and other jurisdictions
What
to
I'm
say
saying,
we're gonna change these.
What I'm saying is, if that's gonna happen, you know, I know they would have scenarios right there where actually have showed that it has happened. What I was saying, I wish you would've brought us something saying, this happened in this year with this city.
I'm not a risk manager, okay? That's not within the legal
So, Mr. President,
experience.
how expensive would it be to add insurance?
We would have to look into doing that. Now, he's saying, I guess, since his prior experience with the League of Cities, they don't offer it, or, so we would have to buy it from a third party.
Well, you can sure start with them, but I believe right now with your coverage, you cannot add an additional insurance. You certainly could communicate with them to see if they have a product to insure that risk.
But, you know, like I say, I've had discussions with a couple of the cities, and, I mean, most people are with the League of Cities, but no, we could look into that, about buying additional insurance to cover that specific concern he has, see if it's available.
Well, is there any way we can table this and do you have the opportunity to
Whatever the council desires.
look into it?
They, you know, this was supposed to go into effect October 1. We did grant a 30-day. I mean, we're operating now outside the city without a contract, and they, you know, they owe us money from October 1. It's a discussion I had with him last week about it. So we need to move forward with this, but whatever you want to do. If you want to table this and look into the insurance and come back February, whatever the council decides.
Let me ask this question.
Can I say something? I mean,
Yeah.
they've also put on us the reports after report. We have to do a county report now. Everything we buy, we have to get Ms. Rhonda to get a sheet of everything we buy. And then we have to transfer it with that to a county report. It goes to the county. And the county is saying, well, if you bought this, this, and this, and this, then that's what they're trying to do now, is say, well, maybe you don't need that much money, because you already got this, and you're not buying enough. But every quarter, you have to send in a county report to let them know how much we bought with what money. And then as soon as they get approved, then they send us the money, the lump sum of the money, or that certain amount per quarter. It's not like it used to be. Now you gotta go all through these 2 or 3 county reports and stuff to get, you know, where they know what's going on over here and what we bought.
Yeah, maybe, instead of tabling this until next time, do you think that if we go ahead and vote on the motion and instruct the city manager to check into the insurance, that the insurance could be purchased if we decide to do that, and would it be retroactive, or would it be from the time?
The insurance?
Yeah,
No, I'm sure it would start whenever we purchase. They would say.
Yeah, no, it won't start till you
And remember, if you approve this tonight and you approve 20 of these, this council approved 20 of these in the history, you approved 2 since I've been here. But you, I mean, it's coming back before you, as you said earlier, in 8 months, you're gonna have it back before you, so that would give, I mean, you would have time to really analyze it and check with the League of Cities and all that, if you're comfortable going and approving it and moving forward, you know, it's gonna be back before you prior to October 1 of next year.
And I wanna see some type, situation where this can happen, not no maybe. I want to see a situation where an actual happen to show us that.
But I will check in the meantime on some insurance, it might be something demonstrative enough we just go ahead and get to address the concern, but give you some breathing room. You know the history of hammering out this thing. I just think we're asking for it to go back now with these changes.
I just don't want us to, I don't want us to.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to cripple the fire department. And if we want to get the insurance later, or we want to have it next time. Mr. Miller has done his due diligence. He told us who is, what his concerns were about approving this bill agreement. I wish that I had asked that before I made the motion. I did. But
And he ain't gonna be mad with us if we.
No, I've done my job. You all have the hard job here.
What he just said, what I was fixing to tell you, you have a very difficult decision because what both men are telling you are factual and truth. He is giving you the worst case scenario of what can happen. It hasn't happened. The possibility of it happening is there. What he's giving you is past experience. This is the way it's always happened, and this is what we expected to happen. The problem is, you've got to weigh the odds of what if you want to protect for the worst or go with what you've been doing. And the way the county is changing everything, I'd almost expect you to go with the worst. Because do you feel the trust? They have changed everything our city has had to do to meet their requirements. What will they change later? You don't know. If they're not going to honor a contract and agreement, I don't know what to tell you. If I know what I would do if I was still sitting on the board, but this is your decision. Y'all have to think about that. No.
Is there a motion to table the item? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I heard some comment about that. But
the question was asked if we could table it.
There was a original motion to,
I made a motion to accept.
and the second by Ms. Williams.
And with the,
second.
did you have an amendment on that, for looking at, for putting the insurance on it? Do we have to put that amendment on there, or that's something we did? Okay, yes, do it.
So we say tonight, I accept this agreement, but I want us to get some extra insurance.
Look into the insurance.
Check on the price, but
I wouldn't make it mandatory because it might not be available or it might be out of reach and something we need to address at the next, when this comes around again. But if you make the motion that you have to have it, and we go out there and find that it's $20,000 or something,
right back where you started.
you're right back where you started and now you're 6 months into the year without killing the county.
And the way the meeting went, if we send this back, it's
You
gonna
were
be a
there.
while.
You were in that room.
Yeah, but you know what, and I agree, I think we should take, I do think we have to know, like I'm doing, like Mr. Glass said, they know that what's not in there. They know. They don't wanna be held accountable, but poor little Chattahoochee and all these other little people that don't have anybody to help them fall on their face and then will be sued.
Well, in all fairness, if that fire truck hits somebody tonight, you know as well as I do,
We're
the city of Chattahoochee's getting sued,
Yeah.
but we buy insurance for that. The county's getting sued because they fund us. The manufacturer of the trunk, or the bumper for somebody, they're getting
Nah, all
sued. The
that-
tire company, that's what lawyers do. The list of everybody gets sued.
But
about all.
can it affect us so much, if it's not having the insurance, it can bankrupt the city, if they got sued like that.
If the county, we're covered. What he says, if they sue the county, I'm trying to figure the scenario, I mean, somebody can name the county, but a lot of times when that list is that long, and suits that I've been involved with, there's motions filed early in the process, I can't remember the name, and some of them get kicked out, you know. But yeah, if you got in a trial situation, you had to hire an attorney, but He's the lawyer.
But I'm not,
Yeah,
that's what I don't trust
I
county.
guess if they got.
Well, in other words, people see false sale. They see most of them property selling. Trying to leave it for our minutes. Anybody else on this side have anything to add? Anybody on this side have anything to add? We'll call for the vote. Madam Clerk, call for the vote.
Just to clarify, madam, the motion is to approve the agreement as it was received by the county. Okay. Mayor Richardson,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Moultrie,
Yes.
Mr. Kimry, Ms. Glass.
Yes. I don't trust the county, sorry. Not at all.
They doing everything they can to not get our money. That's what the main thing. Because there you gotta get, the only way you can.
We just got our money.
Yeah, I know,
We just got it.
is to get that report in. You know.
That's not a problem now at this point. Well, Madam Mayor, if y'all like that item, you're gonna love the next one.
Don't like the next one.
So it is our senior citizens, funding agreement from the county. It's for $10,000
All right.
and, but it has the same,
Yeah, same content, same comment.
the contract includes that same language that he's
I'm not seeing
concerned with.
That $10,000 gonna break it for the senior city. That's what I know. That's what I'm being facetious.
But
I ain't being nice.
their argument is, yeah, but we have to do it with 6 different places.
Right. Well, they get taxes in 6 different cities.
So again, you have seen this agreement before, and it's back before you, because we do this one annually, but the city attorney did have the same comments, about the liability portion.
Did you just go over here to do building?
When they finish it, they're almost,
The refurbished building?
they're very close, they've been working on it, they were down there today, 3 trucks working on the inside.
Are they giving the seniors any more room than they have?
Well, we had requested, and it had kind of been approved for some room to spread out the exercise, but I doubt we'll see it. They're intending on putting the medical provider in there, but we were guaranteed our original space. And there's some, there's some of that have an issue with that, but it was put into motion at the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It was read into the record. So officially, we still have that space, but I don't think we'll get additional space that we could deal with the previous folks on.
Now, on this one, for sure, the risk, the benefits for the senior citizens, for me, outweigh the risk when it comes to the senior citizens. The senior citizens need this money.
But you better get it before they spend it all.
Yeah, I understand what you said, Mr. Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
As an attorney, I got what you said. When it comes to these seniors, that's my picture.
I really don't think this is the best they can do.
I don't need it.
I feel like they got too many loopholes in here. I feel like they should
Same on the other contract.
be able to sit down and do a better agreement than this. From dealing with the seniors and working with them over in Quincy, I don't think that Chattahoochee is really getting a fair shake.
Okay. Are you still on the board?
Yes.
You still on the board? Or is it?
What do if you don't mind me asking, like, what do the other municipalities get for their senior centers? Are they getting more than 10,000?
They got a better building.
What are they basing it on? Are they basing it on the number of people when it comes to the money? What are they basing it on?
No, I know Gretna's 10, and, Savannah up there was pretty 10. Now the senior citizens there in Quincy at the main building, theirs was 60. I don't know what it is now. But that's where all the meals, it's a lot of all programs, there's a lot more.
Yeah, 'cause we can't get meals on wheels here. They won't approve nobody.
We need to put pressure on our commission
Yeah.
or vans, or we have to use a city van.
Yeah, we furnish a lot here,
They
Jay.
get, hot meals when we get frozen meals.
And there's a lot of senior citizens shut in here.
They have, vans taking people to the drugstores, grocery shopping. We don't have that over here in Chattahoochee. They say that it's available for all of the cities in Gadsden County, but I only see it being in operation in one, which is in Quincy. So yes, that's the reason I say, I feel like they can do better than this for Chattahoochee.
And what they want in the meetings, and this is nothing new, I dealt with it 10 years ago, is they want, yeah, if there's interest in Chattahoochee, look, they need to be transported to the center in Quincy. I'm sure nothing's changed over there since I left. Because Havana folks, Chattahoochee folks should go participate at the main building, the Simon Scott building, where they cook hot meals there. And they need to be transported over here and transported back.
Well,
They're
the
senior
majority of
citizens.
those people that age are not able to
No,
transfer.
they're not.
They're senior citizens, that's why we got shut-ins, that's why we're supposed to have Meals on Wheels for people that can't get out. And we had how many on our list last time? One person,
No, we have two.
2 people could get Meals on Wheels. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. I know plenty of old people that cannot.
Mostly the people over in Chattahoochee that apply, they are put on a waiting list.
Yep.
And they never get approved.
Waiting for somebody to have,
They
they
never
might
get
be
approved.
on
You
there.
have to follow the waiting list, no
Let me
matter
ask-
the geographical area.
They never get approved.
The one for Quincy, are they giving the money to the city of Quincy?
No, it's to the senior the people who operate the gas and senior services,
They just getting it all there?
60,000. But now they get an additional, now I sit on that board over at the state level that funds the senior services in Gaston County. They get 375,000 from the state. But the county kicks in 60.
Right.
But, you know, over there, they actually have salaries to pay and light bills and buy that food. I mean, there's an operation going on in Quincy, and that's what they're concerned with mainly. That's Havana, Chattahoochee. You know, we're kind of on our own, but the Board of County Commissioners is doing this. Well, here you go. If y'all, don't want to come over here, you could do whatever you could do. And in our case, we are getting space. And hopefully we move down and do our own thing with the new center, but we don't know that yet. Right now, we're very appreciative of this newly renovated space that we're getting. But, no, there's not much
I'm glad
chance.
you're on that board, and I can't be on that board. Can't be on that board.
I still say, I feel like that they can do better than this.
And they voted to reduce it by 3%. That's what she and I were
Right.
talking about. But this agreement that we got, they failed to show the reduction. The number that I was given was actually $90-something $100. But this agreement, they tried to send you for the full 10, so.
That ain't even $1,000 a month.
Did they
Yes.
reduce any of they funds for Quincy?
But we're very appreciative
That's right, that's what I want to know.
of what we get.
I love you, Robert, because you say that a lot, and I don't say that.
We-
Our people are worth more than $1,000 a month. Our senior citizens that have been in this community are worth more than $1,000 a month.
And I do agree with you.
Well, y'all.
If we don't accept this agreement and they don't give us anything, then we left with nothing for our senior citizens.
What we need to do is maybe fight the next time, but we need to take this, you know what I'm saying, and try to figure out a way that we can get more.
When will the next time be?
Well, preferably it would be next August or September if everything's done in a timely fashion, but we're just not getting these agreements out of Quincy that,
Sure.
The time is not on our part, it's on their part.
Right.
Yeah, when we get these upgrades to you, down the fire one, there was a lot of back and forth, but not on this one. And I'd also recommend that you have myself and city attorney, if there's an ideal contract he would like to see, do it next week or next month, taking, like that fire agreement, it's coming back, this is coming back, make what changes he wants so that we submit it to them a couple of months in advance. Hey, this is an issue and this is what we want, not at the last minute or after we've already received it. And I would be glad to fight that fight.
And in the meantime, we need to talk to our representatives for county and be on them about, hey, this is not enough money for us. We got to be vocal about it. Because once this is on this paper, they're not trying to go back and change.
They voted on this dollar amount now, and all I see, this was officially voted on back in August, they had to vote on it twice. You know, for the including the budget, this amounts were, this fight was back in August and September.
And also,
We just got an agreement.
We all on this board pretty much know the commissioner there. It's not just one. So I'll do my part to try to talk to not just ours, but the others that we know. So we need to use our relationship, to a point to try to get you. So in that sense, on my end, I say I dropped the ball for not talking to you. So we need to, you know, use our relationship to try to, not only our commissioner, but we know, just like our city, you got 3 that you got to have. So
He's
we need to
indicated he's very interested in seniors in Chattanooga, sure has to be, to the point I think he's trying to, dedicate some office space down there in the new building.
Who is that?
Our county commissioner.
We need to try to figure out and present to them what we, you know, we may not get it. You know, we say, hey, we want 30,000, they may give us 16,000. You know, but we need to step up and just say, this is what we want, instead of letting them bring us to the agreement, then complain about it. We need to step up and push now. You know, we got this now, and I'll take the fault on my part. We accept what we got and push to try to get more on the next time.
And again, just like our budget scenario, we would need to have that, whatever conversation we're gonna have, or arm twisted or whatever, would need to be done by, you know, June.
And we most definitely need to get on our representatives, but we can talk to the other ones too, you know, we can talk. We know the commissioners that's it.
Robert, you just say that he wanted office space and that,
I've heard that, you know, he's had conversations with me about, you know, his interest, commitment to the seniors, and can't wait for the new building to get down there, and, I think he would like to be more, of course, he knows we're working on the building, but I think, you know, he would like to be more actively involved once it gets back going again.
and he wants an office for
I
himself.
think he wanted some space for when the seniors met, that he could be down there. He might have changed his mind.
Charge him $1,000 a month.
We don't own the building.
Give it to him, $1,000 a month.
No, we appreciate the space that they are letting us utilize.
So we need to approve this interlocal agreement or let it go, folks.
Right. We need a motion. However it be, we need a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement for human senior service.
The motion is second.
Ken seconded. I'll second.
Would anybody on this side have anything to say? Would anybody on this side have any input to add? All right, Madam Clerk, you can call for the vote.
Thank you. Mayor Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
No.
Mr. Moultrie?
Yes.
Mr. Kinley?
Yes.
Ms. Glass?
No.
Okay, City Manager?
Real quick, I just want to remind everybody, second harvest is 13th, which will be next Thursday. Same place, same time, and in February, we'll announce it again, but it is scheduled for February 10th, same place, same time. I hope everybody comes out and takes advantage of that. We're working on, Ms. Glass, you've mentioned the signs, we're working on some more attractive signage coming into the city.
Good.
I will draft a letter, if it's okay with the council, about to send to all the parade participants.
Yes.
She mentioned. And I will check on that insurance to address these issues that the city attorney has mentioned. There may be a simple fix to this, if there's some blanket coverage or something you can buy. But I will find out and report back to you on that.
And can we, 1 minute, Mr. Chairman, can we just kind of see if we can make this official the first weekend in January for our Christmas parade.
Absolutely, I really.
I think December.
I mean December, this is January.
Yes, ma'am, that's what, I saw a lot, kind of agreement earlier when she was talking about it, I've jotted it down. I mean, if you wanna be official, I mean, I don't think we have to, but y'all could vote and say that the festivities, I mean,
Then everybody knows it's the first Saturday in December.
All successful events in any town will tell you, they make it a yearly thing.
Yeah.
And
it
you always
builds
have
on
it
itself.
that specific weekend,
Yeah.
so, or day,
So now that we got that, so you
even though the
But that's what we're planning on, and, that's all I have now, man.
let's go.
I don't have anything. Two things. One of them, if we'll all give Robert a nod for the parade for the first weekend in December for 2022, they can go ahead and make some arrangements and be planned.
Yes.
You got a
That
consensus
works for
on,
me.
official consensus on that.
Works for me.
The next one for us is for us, if y'all have anything that y'all want Robert to work on the budget, please, 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 let him know. He and I have talked about some items, but I'm sure something else is gonna come up, but we need to give him as much room as we can to do what he needs to do and give him time for his staff to work and do what they need to do. So that's anything from striping a road to creating a wreck bar or something, whatever, you know, just whatever. As long as we get to work on it, we can work it out like Chris says, we can work together, see what we can come up with to benefit the citizens of Chattanooga.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Ms. Ann? Councilman Booth?
Robert, did you ever get the, reparation position that was open field?
Yes, ma'am, started on Monday. Yeah, I'll bring him next month, he just started yesterday, I'll probably bring him at the next meeting and introduce him, have his feet on the ground, and we were just getting him settled in. His office is gonna be at the Oak Street Recreation Center, very excited about it, he has a lot of experience, and
Who is
I think it would be,
Can you tell us about?
yeah, it's McMillan, Carlos McMillan,
Oh,
he's born, I think everybody knows him.
yeah, he's a year older than me.
Cause I go around trying to introduce him to people, and they're like, Carlos, what's up? I mean, he knows a lot of folks in here, which I think will help him be
I think that's good.
successful in getting these programs interested.
He grew up here, he's got roots here, yeah, he graduated from here in '90s, yeah.
He was very successful over at Monroe, and, I like him. I like him. So we'll see, but I'll get him up at the next meeting.
Okay, the street signs that we talked about a year or so ago, how far are we with that?
Well, we were just going to do it as a replacement program. We have done some, but, you know, that will be over time. I mean, if it's something that the council want to accelerate, invest in, we can do that too. That might be a good thing to talk about at budget, if you want to see a faster pace. Because, you know, those old concrete ones, how often do they go away? And that was kind of how we were replacing them. We weren't actively doing a replacement, pulling up the concrete ones and, you know, actively setting poles. It was kind of, instead of buying something new, go ahead and put up the ones that meet the new standards. If it's not fast enough for you, y'all instruct me. I mean, I can make it as fast as you want, but there was an investment involved.
And we will also make a decision that, any organization that was asking for help for the city of Chattahoochee, that they were to make contact with you before budget time, am I correct?
Yes.
Has any of them made?
No, I think we kind of told them, you know, we really started in March, and with Christmas, I'm expecting to hear from, but I have not yet. Because, you know, March was mentioned several times.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what they're thinking. And I've kind of decided too, you know, I think in our budget process this year, we'll just go ahead and schedule, a workshop that deals with nonprofit funding. And that way then everybody has adequate time to make their case, and nobody feels like they will let that, we'll advertise it in the paper. You know, this is in workshop, I'm sure some of them will come to me before, but let's discuss it, make sure everybody has enough time to discuss it and is aware we're discussing it.
Did we ever, hear any more about the sign for the elementary school?
We're waiting on the final rules, you haven't heard any more on it? No, we have the numbers, we have the quotes, she has them on her desk now, we discussed it, and where we were waiting on is the final rule from the federal government. They have a proposed rule out there, but the final rules with categories of expenditure. Because I would hate to go out there, spend that money on a sign, and then it's not eligible. What our plan is to use some of the American Rescue Plan money. I think it meets it, but there's no guarantee. The clerk has looked into it further, and I think everybody's in agreement we need to wait on the final rule, which was to be issued, because we're a small city, ours was a little different than the larger cities. The funding, everybody under 50,000 population is going by different rules. Our rule was supposed to be finalized nationwide for small cities in August.
Last year.
Yes. So, we're waiting on that final rule, and if it's done, then we would bring a proposal to the council for your consideration. We have the quotes and everything. Or if you want to proceed now and, you know, we paying for it with general revenue if you can't replace it with the COVID money at a later date. That's where staff is on it, we're waiting on the final rule.
I just want to tell you, as well as all of your city workers, thank you for the great job that you're doing. I hope that the year 2022 we will get better. Chief, I'd like to thank you and your group for the great job that they're doing, staying on top of things, with you being out there. You say, hey, when do you ever sleep?
I've been nodding a little bit tonight, but.
Thank you for all of your hard work. Thank you, Mr. Miller, and thank you, Ms. Rhonda, with all of your phone calls. Thank you so very much.
Mr. Moultrie?
Rob, I know I had mentioned to you about that recycling, couple systems.
Yes.
About that.
Yes. Rhonda, they reported back, Waste Pro reported back, here's how you used to do it. It was done by Florida State Hospital. Historically, they provided the containers, they had a recycling program. The markets went bad and all that, they quit, they picked up the containers, but that's historically how you did it. We contacted Waste Pro, and they were going to, Ralph, who was that regional manager that was going to get back with me, there is a charge. It's not included in our contract, but he was gonna get back with me this week, was the report I got out of City Hall. I had not heard from him though, yeah.
You gotta check on that.
Was that you or Maria that gave me that?
Maria.
It was Maria that gave me that report. They made contact with him, and he got back with them, and he was looking into it and get back with me this week. But historically, they haven't done it. It was Florida State Hospital, but they terminated there.
But we will check with us.
Yes, he's going to contact me, yeah. And I guess, with him saying there's a charge, I guess that they, may still provide it. But I know the county quit, a lot of people have quit, because due to the markets of the raw materials. You know, you recycle it, and there's nowhere to sell it.
And I know, we don't own that bridge on Lincoln Drive. But I know it's a lot of money coming in with the infrastructure with that being passed. Can you make sure that they continue to take that bridge? Because I know it holds a lot of water right there. And that may just be over time. But if there's money coming down, and there's grant money coming down for that infrastructure coming from the federal government, we need to look at that bridge. It's an old bridge. Like I said, it holds a lot of water. So, we need to check, make sure that it's safe for the citizens to continue.
Well, I have read the bridge inspection reports. This inspection is by a third party hired by DOT. Every local government's bridges are every 2 years.
Right.
I've read this, the bridge itself is safe. It has a good inspection report, it's efficiency rating. The holy water thing, that's out on the approach. It's gonna take some reconfiguration and that kind of thing. But the bridge itself, as far as the ranking system that was used, is good. It's a very good.
Everything, you know, the structure around it is good.
It's not stated for, they go by rankings and then you start looking at replacement. When you get down in the 50s, somewhere in there, you need to start, designing and figuring, anything below 50 needs replacing.
Okay.
The sufficiency rating, but, that one was not bad, but in the water retention, they would just say we were working on not long ago. Same thing, again, our guys do it sometimes to get the water out of the road, but, I will follow up with the public works director with the county.
And on that sign, regardless of whether it's grant money or anything, check to see what's been paid. Like I know my business paid $1,000, I know a couple other businesses have already donated towards that. So make sure it's not the amount that you get just for the sign. Make sure the deductions are there before, because there are people that donate for it.
I'm aware of that.
Okay, all right. I'm glad to see that we are not agreeing on everything here. I sat on this council a long time, and I remember times where it was just yes down the board. We'd be out here 5 or 6 minutes. There's a lot that changed in the city of Chattanooga. It's not always easy, and it's good to be able to come up here and not know, feel like you know what the council gonna do, and you can still be friends at the end. And so I appreciate that out of this council. I don't always agree with the lawyer, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You are who you are. You're not fake about it. So I appreciate what you do. To the citizens, Bernie, thank you for what you did. I used to give it to you back in the day. Ronnie, I hear what you say. And a lot of times people might not really know Ronnie. Ronnie was like a big tough guy, but he's a kind gentleman if you sit down and talk to him. But when you sit up and get on to you, look like he can kill you. Yes,
Only to cut you off. Yes, sir. And I just want to say, if you guys thought I never said you were not doing your job. All I was asking is, this is my first council meeting since January 2019. And information came out tonight that I had no idea. And I'm sitting back there thinking, how many other people in Chattahoochee don't know what's really going on? Yes, it's posted certain places, but you just don't know. The entire city, we're small, but Chattahoochee can't get in this room. And a lot of people still not coming out for COVID. I'm not saying that you're not doing your job, but all of your great citizens, okay? And I have nothing but respect for all of you. But if we can disseminate and educate the people that put you guys in office, that was my point.
Yes, sir.
That was it. That's all I'm asking.
And you're welcome to call me anytime. You do something.
Absolutely. So, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but, when you get sideswiped and votes are being made, I'm like, how many people don't really know what's going on?
Appreciate it.
Okay.
And I'm glad that we have come this far. Robert, have we started doing anything with Rosedale? What are we looking like with that on the water?
We have a proposed agreement on the table. I have made 3 modifications to it. Spoke with the city attorney just prior to the meeting. I'm gonna send that back to him tomorrow, to make sure we're on the same page there. And then the next process would be to agenda it and bring it before the council. It's not a lot of big changes, but there are some small changes in there that, of course, if the agreement was 20, 30 years old, I mean, it needed the changes. But nothing big, nothing to concern anybody, but I think it'll be more fair on our part for some of the things that were agreed to 30 years ago.
And we're pretty good in the police department. We got enough people out all times, all shifts.
We got 2 more that we're expected to hire that'll fill up everything. That'll fill up complete system.
All right, that's it.
I just had a couple thoughts about that house, you know, coming across, you come in from the interstate, that burnt house.
Mhm.
Where is it on the list? 'Cause
It goes to the judge February, if I'm not mistaken.
it needs to be done.
That's when you're gonna wind up on it. The original letter did the work, the little nicey warning letter, I call it, the second letter. I'm sure it will be on the magistrate's agenda. Like the next one, which is in February, he will assess fines. And then when you let them amass, and I think those will, to a certain point, we file, with the courthouse to recoup our money. I don't see people standing in line over there bidding on that one. So then it would become,
Are the taxes paid up on, people paying, owners paying
I
taxes
don't look
on?
at the taxes.
That'll make a difference.
Yeah, and they may quit paying the taxes to get out of it. It'll take them 3 years to get out of it, but it's already been 2. But that's where we are on that one. They're fixed to get assessed penalties, and then, we get into the expensive part for the city.
Well, thank you about the weapon signs, because when you come down from that, it looks bad. That little bitty, the flag looks bad. Thank you, police officers. Is there anything you need, or? Thank you for all y'all do. I mean, I feel very safe in Chattahoochee. I'm not scared in Chattahoochee, and a lot of people can't say that nowadays. And I appreciate all y'all do for us. City workers, you go above and beyond what y'all make. I wish I could give y'all all a big raise. Yeah, I do. Because I know how hard work they do. Yeah. All of them. Now, do we all get lazy sometimes? Yes, every one of us. Nobody that says it don't lie. They lie. But I appreciate the job y'all do, and I appreciate everything, because you have to love this city to work for this city. You have to love the people in this city. And it's a community. You have to love this city, to stay here, to want it to grow, to be what it is. And I know these 4 that are with me are all about that too. I know the chief, he said he's come to Mayberry. Bless his little heart. I told him he really would have been lost a long time ago, when everybody knew everybody. And thank you, Robert, for working on grants and trying to get us some money for the city. I appreciate it. And David, thank you for your service. And now, I won't hear you when I call sometimes at night. What am I gonna do when you ain't on dispatch?
I'll go by your house and holler at you then.
Just blow the horn.
Hey,
I would, yeah.
we can do that.
But thank y'all.
Mr. President, have you got any updates on Southside and the grants we're working on?
I haven't heard anything since the holidays really started. I haven't got an email about requested any further information, so it's in the hopper. They would be screaming if we needed to submit something.
Okay. The rescue money, since Roselle is a part of our water system, did you find out if we're gonna be able to include them?
We don't have a definite answer on that yet.
Okay.
But everybody's aware of it. We're looking into it. We just really need our hands on this final roll.
And once we get the ruling, then we'll get, I guess, started on possibly replacing the meters and getting smart meters.
I intend, when I read in printed material from the United States government that meters are allowable, we have our homework done. We will have a proposal before this council to accept the bid for the lowest bid. We want to proceed. And I know in my heart that it's going to be allowable expense, but you can't take that risk with that kind of money. Because they really stress water system. I mean, that's big in there. Improving water system is big in there.
Chief, when it comes to the budget, that needs y'all too. So whatever you guys need, thinking about, make sure you get with the city manager done, so we can make sure the police have what they need to keep Chattahoochee safe.
Right.
Thank you guys for all your hard work, city workers, police officers. I want to wish everybody a happy new year, a prosperous new year as we go into the new year. Keep Chattahoochee safe, and let's keep Chattahoochee moving forward. If nothing else, meeting is adjourned.
Already had the